Hello, welcome to another episode of On the Floor with Wayne and Rob. I'm Wayne Highlander, National Sales Manager for Bona Adhesives.
And I'm Dr. Rob Johnson from Bona Training.
How we doing, Rob?
Pretty good.
You ever in life, Rob, think that somebody's built something completely wrong? Like there's, well, I'll just get right to it. I think electrical panels are completely wrong the way that they've been built. I've never liked electrical panels. I think they're silly the way they've been constructed in homes. I think there's a way better way to do it. And I don't understand how everybody in the world doesn't know that. Go.
I know people think that I was on mute or anything, but I'm telling you, there are some times when we do this show, I have no idea where you're coming from.
Why would you build it?
This is a pretty good one.
Why would you build a 20?
I think that there is nothing better than an electrical panel. How it distributes, how it takes it in from the house, distributes it correctly, wattage, voltage, everything perfect, 220, 110, and you have a problem with this.
If I was the president of the United States, the first thing I would do is I would pass a law that all the electrical panels should be 4 times the size that they are. Why do you have to condense everything down to this small little area where you can barely get your hands in? You have all these wires on top of each other and everything. Why not make it 3 times the size? Tell me why I'm wrong. There's not room. There's no good reason not to have an electrical panel that you can actually get in and operate and have room. It doesn't take up that much more room.
So you want a walk-in electric panel?
No, doesn't take up too much room, but certainly bigger than they are.
3 times the size.
I'll tell you something else that they make wrong.
Wait, hold that thought. What have you been doing that you think electrical panels are too small?
It's bugged me my whole career. It absolutely has. Every time I had to get in one and manipulate the wires and do all this different stuff in there, I thought, why do you have to make them so small for? I just don't see that it makes any sense to me. So anyhow.
All right. If anybody has an answer to that, I'd like to know.
There is no answer to that.
There's got to be an answer to that.
It's a random thought. I'll tell you something else I think they make completely wrong is toilet paper dispensers. Have you ever been in an airport and the toilet paper dispenser is loud and creaky as the toilet paper is coming out? It's none of that guy's business next to me how much toilet paper. That's a highly personal matter. You know what I mean? Why does it have to? Why is it so loud? You know what I mean? I think they just could have done a better job.
You know, ladies and gentlemen, we really like to thank you for the last 3 years of listening. It's been a fun ride. It really has. I never thought we'd get past 10 episodes, but This is Robin Wayne signing off.
Maybe it is. All right.
No, I never noticed. Now, I will say this about some of the airport toilet paper that sometimes you got to jam your arm up inside of there and fumble around and get it. So yeah, maybe there could be a better way, but man, wait till Eileen hears this one. This one's definitely not gonna.
What kind of sick human being would make toilet paper so thin that they break it every 8 inches it breaks, 8 inches it breaks, 8 inches it breaks. You know what I mean? Come on, spend a little money.
All right. God, it's amazing how many times you and I are on the opposite sides. Okay.
How can you be on the opposite? Tell me how you can opposite. How can you?
I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you exactly. There is a toilet paper that I like very much. Scott. Scott is our go-to toilet paper. Scott tissue.
In your own home.
In my home.
Yes, but that's not out in public.
Wait. So my son-in-law, Brian, talked to him. You talked about him before. He married Emily, right? When they got married and moved and she moved out, the first thing he said to her was, "We're not going to get that cheap toilet paper that your dad uses. We're getting the Charmin, the quilt, the big time heavy stuff." So I've been accused. Brian listens to the show. I love you, buddy. He did not like my family's toilet paper. And my daughter, Emily, the traitor, she went, right, okay, you're the boss now, I guess. So
Wow.
that was it.
He could carry his
Okay.
own.
Wait a minute. Now that we're on this subject, the kids now, not my son, but the two girls, Emily and Rebecca, have bidets.
Oh,
You can buy a bidet and hook it into your existing toilet.
yep.
I thought a bidet was like a separate
Well, they used to be.
thing.
Yeah.
So you would use your toilet and then go sit on the bidet. You get up from one and go to the other. Is that how it worked?
I don't know. I've never used the.
I've never
Yeah.
used one either. Never. But I was listening to the girls talking about the different things that they have, and some of them have blow dryers, and I was like, wow.
Well, it makes sense, when you used to in the old days, if you wanted like a really good stereo, or you wanted the leather seats, or you wanted the automatic door openers, or all those fancy stuff, you had to buy a Mercedes, because you had to buy a luxury car to get those extra things. Now they're making them in entry-level cars and just mid-range cars. So it only makes sense that the technology would catch up with that as well. Let's get on to our subject.
I thought that was a subject today.
No. Today we're going to talk about expert level estimating. And if you Google that, expert level estimating, what you're going to come up with is a bunch of software stuff, like better software to help you bid jobs and what have you. And I'm not talking about that type of stuff. I'm talking about the human interaction with your clients. And it makes me think sometimes, all right, so if you have a business and you want to make more money, you want to impress your clients more and what have you, you could either do more custom high-end stuff, spend time doing a lot of custom stuff like that, or maybe the best return on your investment is to really, really, really nail your presentation. You know what I mean? I think there's a lot to be said for that, because sometimes we think, oh, well, we're good at what we do. We don't really have to sell ourselves because, we got a good floor company. We know what we're doing and our reputation, whatever. So we don't really have to do that. But what if you had that reputation, but also you really, really, really sold it and upsell your business.
Upsell.
Yeah. So I mean, I think about this a lot because, and I think for some people, like you could join Toastmasters. I've talked about Toastmasters before, to really, really learn how to nail your presentation and practice your presentation to the clients, and to separate yourselves from the competition. And so I thought that might be good. I'm talking about the salesmanship when I talk about expert level estimating. I'm not talking about, any kind of software or what have you. And I'll give you a real quick example. I actually think you were with me. Maybe you were, maybe you weren't. I don't know. We were in a restaurant not too long ago, and as we were done with our meal, and the waitress gave us a check, when she brought me the bill, she touched me on the shoulder. Now, we all know that story, right? I mean, this study says if the waitress just does that simple act of touching on the shoulder, whatever, that they get a better tip. And that's true. I mean, I don't know if it's in my case, I pay everybody the same, pretty much. I give everybody the same tip. But that's a technique.
I've never heard that one before.
Oh, that's absolutely a fact. Yeah, if a waitress or waiter, probably mostly a waitress. Like, now that I think about it, touches you during the interaction, like puts her hand on your shoulder, says, hey, thank you very much, I appreciate it, whatever, just a quick boom, that their percentage of tips go up.
Did you tip her more?
I don't know. I'm a pretty good tipper. I maybe even to a fault, but so I wouldn't. I'm aware of that when it happened instantly because whoever I was with, I said, "Hey, you see just what happened? Let me tell you why that happened." So I'm aware of that. So it doesn't, doesn't really affect me. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. But I think that's maybe psychologically it did. Who knows? So
Why don't we tip fast food people?
why should we?
The people at Chick-fil-A are fantastic.
Listen, you know what?
I tip Dunkin' Donuts, Dunkin' Donut people. They got the cup out there. A $3 cup of coffee, I'll throw $1 in there. Why? And I thought, why? I don't mind tipping. Why don't we tip the fast food guys? They're not making a lot of money. They're still working. They're humping.
See, I have a problem with what happened in society. I probably shouldn't even say this.
Oh, here we go.
But when you buy something, let's say at a donut store, it doesn't even have to be a chain donut, but a donut store, and they say, okay, it's 1865 or whatever, and then they turn the screen around to you to put your card in, and it says 15%, 18%, or 20%. I don't like that. Yeah, I don't. You know what I mean? And I'm a good tipper. I'm a generous guy, but I have a problem with that. So when you say we've tipped the fast food guy or whatever, I don't know, man. I probably shouldn't even talk about it, but that's the way I feel about it.
I like having dollars all the time. Tip the car wash guy. I like tipping.
Well, I like tipping too.
And I don't understand why we don't tip, like, especially the people at like Chick-fil-A. I know it sounds like I'm doing a Chick-fil-A commercial, but my God, if they're not the most friendly damn people you've ever met in your life, holy crap.
Yeah, they are, and I think they get more than most fast food places do. I think Chick-fil-A people, not that matters at all, but anyhow.
Here's how good they are. I went to a Chick-fil-A in Philadelphia, Philly. And I could not believe, I was like, they must have, nothing against you Philly people, but they must have brought these people up from the South or something. But I know they were Philly people.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic.
Yep.
And I love you Philly guys. You know that. But you did throw snowballs at Santa.
I was just going to say the same thing.
That's always going to be there. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's always going to be there.
Yeah, it's hard to live that one down.
Tough. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're going to throw snowballs at me the next time I'm around Philly.
Yeah. I will say something else about this too, and I just wrote down my notes that I had. Is one of them is don't chase every job. Some jobs you don't want, and kind of learn what your niche is. I'll tell you one of my downfalls, and I know this about myself, is that I'm my soft spot is old people, right? And I think back how many jobs I went on to bid that were old folks. I knew that going into it. I also knew they probably weren't going to be my customer. Pretty good chance they weren't going to be my customer. And rather than just, that's my valuable time. You know what I mean? Chasing jobs that may not be in our niche, whatever. I think if we can start eliminating, especially now in the economic times that we're living in now. And by the way, if inflation just went up the highest it's been in 40 years. So that doesn't tell you to raise your prices. We got to raise the prices.
Now is a perfect time to raise your prices too.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to hold anything against you. My gosh, gas is up 60% in 1 year. You got to raise your price.
You have to raise your price.
How much gas does a floor man use? Forget about it.
Well, there's another thing. When you take into consideration your estimates, free estimates, and that your time and money and cost just going out to these estimates, it's a lot.
That has always bugged me. I kept telling Bum when he was contract, charge for an estimate.
Yeah.
Charge 50 or $100 for an estimate. See what happens. Everybody says free estimates. Yeah. I want to know what would happen if there's anybody out there charging for an estimate, please tell us. I want to know how that works for you.
Yeah.
I think that can go I think that could go really good for a guy, personally.
I think, like some people will say, all right, well, we charge you $50 or $100 for the estimate, but if we get the job, we take that off of the job.
Yeah.
It seems fair to me.
Have you met somebody? I mean, all the classes I've done, I've never had, I can't remember talking to anybody. Maybe I did, but I'd love to know if there's some guys out there charging for it and how it's working for them.
I don't, you really don't see it in this industry so much, but I do see it in other trades industries, by the way, too.
Now, I could see that definitely. Take, if I charge you $100 to come out, do everything, and then take it off the bill, absolutely. Here's your estimate, and if you go with
Yeah.
me, knock that 100 off.
Yeah.
But I think I would want that in cash too. $100 cash when I show up.
Yeah, you never want to ask for that.
Little
Cash. Yeah. I think also, so the premise, my whole thing about this is that if you can get better at your salesmanship at the time of the job, if you really, really, I mean, we've all been around great salespeople that and I don't care what walk of life, but like, holy smokes, like you want to do business with this guy. That I think is super important, because just that simple thing you do, that one thing can make a difference of 10% or 15% more at the end of the year. That's a major difference. And I think we get into the trap, and I include myself in this, is that thinking, oh, I don't really need to sell. I know what I'm doing. They know what I'm doing. So I don't really need to sell myself.
Oh no.
I think,
Yeah.
I think that's a mistake.
I remember I had really great talks with my grandfather, spent a lot of time with him. And sad part is I spent even more time with him after my grandmother died. He was living alone. So I was going out and spending but there were some little things that he said that have just stuck with me, just these little, one of them was, I always used to laugh because he almost sing it, was in by the bundle and out by the bag, that I always thought was a funny one. I don't know if he invented it or whatever, but he said that's a floor man's life, in by the bundle, out by the bag.
Yeah.
But another one that he always said to me was, Robbie, craftsmen don't make any money. The salesmen do. And, floor guys have to be both. A lot of guys who own their own business are out doing the estimate, just like you were saying, they're so good at their craft, but you got to sell that.
Yeah.
100%. You have to sell that, because even though it,
yeah,
it might be a referral and everything, but you have to really sell the hell out of that. The other thing about the estimate, it's our one shot to get in there and break the bank. You got really one shot, not a lot of add-ons with what we do. We go in, and once that price is set, there's really not too much going to happen after, So you have one shot to get in there and make a difference.
When you were a kid visiting your grandfather like that, did you ever rifle through his pockets? Or was he not old enough at that point? Okay, just curious.
No,
Sorry,
never.
everybody. Okay.
Never.
When you say it's your one time to break the bank, don't take that as a negative, because, you're adding value. You know what I mean? And if you are separated, that's why I say also, don't be afraid to show off your qualifications when you're writing a proposal and you're talking to the clients. I really think that's important. I mean, listen, that stuff comes hard, man. These jobs that you've done, these things that you've done, these procedures that you do, there's a lot of hard work in that. And I think you have got to get that story across, and to separate yourself, especially when they start talking about price. You know what I mean? I mean, I think you really have to say, listen, man. I mean, well, not listen, man, but you have to go into that story of why you're the person. You're the only person they should hire, and that they'll after you live there, they'll dig a little deeper in their pockets and they'll pay because they recognize its value that you're selling. And I'm really a believer. I used to think that, oh, if we do more custom high-end work, we'll make more money and stuff. part of that story is true. But part of the story is, you know what? Maybe you didn't have to do all that if you because you're going to do this, you're going to do the same job regardless, right? I mean, most floor guys I know don't have a B, and C type of floor. You're going to go in there whether you're getting 250 a foot or you're getting $7 a foot. You're going to go in there and do the same thing. We can't help ourselves.
Isn't that the craziest thing? Yeah, absolutely.
A craftsman can't help himself. He's going to go in there and he's going to give it his best and whatever, because he's not trying to satisfy you, the homeowner. He's trying to satisfy him or her.
Yeah.
So you know, I think you really have to sell that, man. And I think sometimes, and like I said, I'm as guilty as anybody. So I think that's important.
I wanted to write back when we were doing stuff on the phone book and everything. One year I told Pete, I go, how about this for the ad too? If you're looking for the lowest price, don't call us.
Yeah.
And Pete's like, man, that's kind of negative. He goes, I don't know if you want to go there. I said, yeah, but I really feel that way. I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
And I said, we're really not that guy. It's just you and I. So we don't have to be the lowest if it's just you and I. We don't, there are times where you gotta, if you got 4, 5, 6 crews, yeah, you got to be out there. You can't have 4, 5, 6 crews all doing high-end stuff. You got to get out there, pay bills, things like that. I get that, but I always wanted to say that too. If you're looking for the lowest price, I'm not your guy. Because like you said, I remember going and looking at jobs sometime, and remember this one guy, he had like 40 apartments, and they were all for college kids, rentals, that kind of thing. And he's like, I just need quickies, quick jobs, kind of. And I remember thinking about it that night. I'm like, I don't. What step am I gonna cut out?
Yeah. Yes.
I'm not gonna 50 it. I'm gonna jump from 36 to 80 and 2 coats of poly and not buff. I can't.
Let me tell you something. If there's one thing I know, is the minute you cut out that step, you're going to get called on it. All that discussion about prices will go away. Now they see what they see. So I think that's super important. And like I said, four guys we can't help ourselves. We're going to do what we're going to do. So you have to charge for it. And I think there's things you have to prepare yourself for. Is the question about price. If you stumble when someone says, hey, well, this guy's, he's $1 square foot cheaper than you. If you stumble on a response to that, then I think you need to work on your presentation more. You should know it's coming, and you should be able to listen. I expect we are, and honestly, I'm surprised it's only $1, because here's what you get for that $1, and boom, 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 boom. I think the next thing you have to be ready for is hey, can you do any better on the price? Can you give us a discount or whatever? I think that has to be automatic to you, because you have to show confidence. And I'm not saying these are ploys. They're not ploys. You know what I mean? Because you deserve that, and you're adding value and you're adding quality. But sometimes and I put myself in that same boat. I've been there many times when I've left that thinking, I left money on the table on this one, or I didn't have I know I'm better than, I know I will kill this job for this guy. I have no doubt, but I don't know if it came across to him that that's going to be the case. And even if I am good and I know I'm good or whatever, and I know this guy is going to get everything I got, will he understand that out of that interaction that we just had? And oftentimes, no. You know what I mean? So I think that can set you apart from a whole lot of people. And I think for a long time I was kind of almost arrogant about it. That I knew I was good, and I put that in my mind. I could no part of this job scares me. I'm going to kill this job, but I know that I didn't get that across to the other guy. That you know what I mean. There was nothing that really separated me from the other guy that maybe bid in that job. I said, don't get me wrong. I said the usual stuff. We use quality products. We blah, blah, blah. We do this. And every 4 guys that come in there and bid that same job said the same damn thing as I did. So what is going to separate you from those other guys? And I remember to this day, I remember my father-in-law asking me those same questions. Why would I hire you? I'm sitting across from him in a cafe. He's not in this business. He don't know nothing about floors, never did floors. And when he said, why would I hire you? And he took me by surprise. He was my father-in-law. And he wasn't having me do a floor. He just asked me as a business owner, why would I hire you? And I said, well, yeah, we use great products and we're good at what we do. He goes, okay, you're boring me. Why would I hire you? And I said, well, we do. We use. He goes, yeah, well, everybody uses good products. So tell me why I would hire you. I said, well, we have insurance and blah blah blah. He goes, yeah, everybody's got insurance. And then I was mad at him, like, why are you doing this to me? You know.
Right.
Finally, he goes, listen, you're just a number. If you can't tell me why I should hire you, then I'm looking at the price. And as he, bam, I was like blown away by that. It was a great lesson for me, personally. For me, that was a great lesson. So,
I had a guy say that to me back when I was in sport. Brunswick, New Jersey school system, huge school system. And it was bonus sport, and we were up against Hilliard, and I'm sitting across from two of the major guys from the school system and one that was head of building and ground. So, and I had another guy with me who was the distributor, and we're going back and forth, and they're like, Hilliard's, Hilliard's product has this, and our product has this, and it's going, and the guy looks right at me. The head guy looks right at me. I can't believe you just said that. He looks right at me and he goes, well, you both got great products. Why should I hire you? Why your stuff over Hilliard? I said, because Hilliard doesn't have me.
mm-hmm.
There's no Rob Johnson at Hilliard. I'm going to come in here and train every one of your guys. Your floors will never look better, ever. Because Hilliard doesn't have a guy like me out there. The guy laughed his ass off. We got the job. And when I'm walking out with the sales guy from the distributor, he's like, holy crap, that was awesome. I go, yeah. Isn't it? Once in a while, it feels good, doesn't it? You get a really good, solid win. And when you said, why should I hire you? Because you're not hiring my company. You're hiring me. I'm the one who's going to be doing these floors.
Interesting point that you just said right there. And that can be a trap to growing, because there's that one book I read, I can't remember it. I've talked about it before in here, but when you become the guy at the company that they know that Rob's going to come and do my floors, and you got to talk to Rob, he's going to be the one doing your floors, and Rob's the guy, Rob, how can you grow? Because they're always expecting Rob, and you might be sending Mike out to the job, or Brian or Bill. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that in itself can cause another creative, almost a trap or a Pandora's box. So it's almost smart to take yourself out of the equation sometimes. If you're not doing the work and doing the estimating, and focus on the guys. And I think I've seen people do this before. It's really neat where they say, look, here's my guys. I want to show you, here's a bio on every one of them. Here's Brian. He's married. He's a baseball coach. He's got 2 kids. His hobbies is hiking. Show that he's a member of the community and stuff. So, and then we'll go quick.
Good idea. That's a good idea.
Yeah, we're kind of running out of time. So I just want to touch on this one too. This is right down your alley. Everybody's faced with a labor shortage. It's hard to get guys and what have you. So when I hear to me that this is February now, that we're booked out to August, it's okay to lose jobs. You know what I mean? And hold your price. I'd rather lose jobs and hold my price and be booked out a month and a half than booked out 3 months. So, and believe me, and for our listeners, this is only my opinion. This is only Rob's opinion, and we certainly respect it. There's a lot of different ways of thinking about business that way more successful people than us, certainly more than Rob, will be able to say.
And not all of us can be national adhesive salesman, national adhesives manager. But another thing about the professional estimate, like I was saying before, you got one shot. Okay. I think one of the best things I saw Bum do, even on his business card, on the back of his business card, he had a picture of his vac system.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it wasn't that, and I work with him a lot on teaching him the trade, but I worked a lot more with him on the estimate, the sale, you know. We only know how to do floors one way, especially him. He's crazy the other way. You know what I mean? He's like you, very meticulous. So that's the easy part for him. Now you gotta try and sell that. So I said you need to be really specific with everything too, not just like, yeah, I use traffic, it's I use traffic HD. It's also Green Guard Gold certification. Yes, I have a DCS vac system, Bona DCS vac system, but it's the one with the dual HEPA filters. Once you really start, I'm going to do your stairs. I use an anti-slip tread coating specifically for stairs. Really start to let people know what you're doing. Then, I hate to say this sometimes, but now when somebody else comes in and they're not talking about, geez, my vacuum system has dual HEPA filters. Now people are almost scared. Like, why don't you have HEPA filters?
Mhm.
What do you mean you're not using an anti-slip on my stair treads? I mean, you want me to slip and kill myself? What,
Yeah.
So when you get a little bit more specific, and I know we've said it a million times about the Green Guard and the Green Guard certification and Green Guard Gold and everything, but boy, if you're not just pounding away on that in your estimate, you're just leaving money on the table.
The Green Guard Gold, that certificate used to be called the Safe for Children, Schools, and Hospitals.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not telling that story, I mean, there's no other adhesive in the entire industry that has that. And zero VOCs and it's safe for. I mean, if it's safe, that's the highest certification you can get, right? So you gotta be selling that story. The other thing about making more money, and this has got a little bit different than the estimating, but if you are more productive at your job, and it allows you to take a couple more jobs a year because your process got you faster and that you get through something. If people that haven't used Mega One, that if you're an oil-based guy and say, oh, I don't know, I'm worried about putting water base down. Holy smokes, Mega One is super easy to put down, man. Super easy. And if it saves you a day on a job and you got 52 weeks in a year, I mean, if you look at the return on investment for that, and by the way, you can get to any of our regional training centers and have a Bona guy go over with you. You can practice and screw up any of our panels you want. I mean, it's like for floor guys, you're not going to learn something in this craft that makes you like, holy smokes, that blew my mind. I had no idea. It's usually one small thing that you put in the toolbox that could help you on a job down the road. Then you pick up another small little tip and another, and in your mind, you have this thing. Craftsmen, really good guys, have these tools that they can pull out on any job that saves them money. But it's the same thing on the estimating. You know what I mean? And if you get better at that helps you with that. You're using tools. You're using a product that gets you one more day a week that saves you from going out to the job site. Man, I think, and look, Rob and I are we're not kids. We're at that part of our career where we've learned every hard way between us. I think we got 70 years, just at least 50, 60 floors, just doing floors. Not talking about the sales part of this. So we speak from experience and a lot of mistakes that we made throughout the years, and hopefully we only hope that it helps another brother, another sister, another craftsman in this industry that might make their day a little bit easier, might make them make a little bit more money, might make their life. Hopefully, that's what we get out of this. I mean, that maybe it'll help someone down the road. So that's it. Okay, Rob, I appreciate everything, all your input and everything, all your knowledge. And for our listeners, thank you very much. We know you could be doing a lot of other things right now and probably wish you were, but we appreciate you being with us.
Are you kidding? Most of the guys listening to this are just running a drum right now. They're on the drum or they're on a buffer. That's what they're doing, or coat.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And please do stay tuned for another episode.